Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a case that shocked everyone who heard about it. This investigation began on what seemed like an ordinary day. Officers responded to a missing person report, but when they arrived, they found something that would haunt them for the rest of their careers. The call came from a concerned coworker. Jessica Langston, 33 years old, hadn't shown up to work in days. Friends and family hadn't heard from her. The police visited her apartment, where everything seemed normal, until they reached the kitchen. The officers described an eerie quiet and a strange smell, but nothing could prepare them for what they found next. The oven door slightly ajar, and inside, the head of a woman. This was no random act. It felt deeply personal and calculated. This marked the beginning of one of the most challenging investigations I have ever been a part of. As we processed the crime scene, every inch of the kitchen was examined. The oven was meticulously cleaned, except for faint traces of fingerprints. The apartment looked untouched. Nothing suggested a struggle. Jessica's phone, purse, and keys were all missing, which added another layer to the mystery. But a break came when we found a hidden journal in her nightstand. It held detailed entries about a stalker Jessica feared. She'd written about him obsessively, his presence at her workplace, glimpses of him outside her window, the fear that built up over time. This unknown figure became the prime suspect in a seemingly impossible crime. Using the journal entries as a guide, we combed through Jessica's recent history. Security footage showed a man lurking near her office building on multiple occasions. Eventually, we identified him. David Marcel, a former classmate who developed an unhealthy obsession. He had no known criminal history, which made this unexpected obsession all the more chilling. After obtaining a warrant, we searched his home and found unsettling evidence, a collection of photographs of Jessica, her work schedule, and disturbing notes detailing her daily life. But without a direct link to the murder, the pieces were still out of place. Surveillance and phone records revealed disturbing patterns. We traced calls he'd made, times he'd circled her building, and the intensity with which he'd tracked her movements. Finally, we found Jessica's cell phone, left inside his car, wedged under the seat. Still, he maintained his innocence, insisting he'd never hurt her. We brought him in for questioning, but David had one of the best defense attorneys. He remained calm, evasive, and no confession came. The team doubled down on evidence collection, realizing this was not only a murder, but a brutal act of control. Forensic analysis of the fingerprints in the apartment was taking longer than usual, and David's lawyer was using the delay to his advantage. But persistence paid off when we finally matched the prints on the oven handle to David. The grim revelation hit everyone hard. Now, we had enough to confront him, but the real story behind Jessica's murder remained murky. To our astonishment, David's demeanor cracked only slightly as he continued to deny involvement. The breakthrough came when we discovered old emails and messages where Jessica had rejected his advances. The rejection had transformed into resentment, and that resentment had festered into something deadly. As the investigation dug deeper into David's past, we found out he had an alarming history of obsessive behavior with women he'd known. However, nothing had escalated to violence before this. His rage over Jessica's rejection, paired with an unhealthy fascination, had led him to this grotesque crime. As we pieced together the timeline, we realized David had visited her home on the day she went missing. He confronted her, and in a brutal fit of anger, committed this unimaginable act, leaving her head as a sinister message. With mounting evidence, we brought David in one last time. Confronted with the overwhelming evidence, his mask finally cracked. There was no emotional outburst, no breakdown, just a cold acceptance. He quietly confessed to everything. The team felt both relieved and horrified, witnessing the calm indifference with which he detailed the crime. David's confession left us with more questions than answers. What drives a person to cross such a line? What signs were missed that could have saved Jessica's life? The case served as a grim reminder of the danger posed by unchecked obsession. In the courtroom, Jessica's family looked on as David was sentenced. The community was left shaken, and Jessica's story became a tragic reminder of the real dangers some people face. Her life, taken in such a horrifying way, left scars on all of us involved in the case. This case taught us all something about the importance of vigilance, both within the community and for law enforcement. We often think we know people, but sometimes there's a hidden darkness. Jessica's family and friends worked to remember her as the vibrant, warm person she was. Her memory served as motivation for her community to be more aware, to look out for signs that someone may be in trouble. For us, each step of the investigation reminded us of the impact of our work. Every case changes us, and Jessica's left a profound mark. In law enforcement, cases like this underscore the duty we have to seek justice not only for the victim, but for those they leave behind. To everyone watching, I share this story with one simple piece of advice. Be mindful. Often, the most dangerous individuals are those who seem ordinary. If you sense something is wrong, don't hesitate to seek help or alert someone. Jessica's story reminds us that no one is truly alone, and as a community, we have a responsibility to each other. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, the best way to prevent tragedies is to remain aware and connected. And thank you for joining me today. Subscribe and stay tuned for more stories where we uncover the hidden truth behind closed cases.